Okay, so here's how this goes. What we call this area is the Pacific Theater. Now we call it the Pacific Theater because basically up here you have Russia, over here you're going to have China, and this is going to be Asia. Throughout here you're going to have the island of Japan. Now Japan, again, they're an island, so they lack natural resources. That's the problem that they have. They can't get them. The resources they need are over here. That's why at first, in 1905, they have the Japanese-Russo War. This was to get territory. Then they're going to have their invasion of Manchuria, which is in China. They're also going to come down here. This is the Korean Peninsula. They're going to try to expand this way. Once they've gone to mainland to get the resources they need, they're also going to start to expand to the south. Down here you've got the Philippines, which we're kind of in control of in a weird way down there. And then there's a bunch of other islands. And very importantly, our friend down here is Australia. And you have things like the Coral Sea. Now, from here all the way over here, you're looking at about, I don't know, maybe 7,000 miles. It's an extraordinarily long way. And almost all of this is ocean. It's water. And over here, we have this chain of islands, and it's called Hawaii. Now, that chain of islands is important because they're big. They're big islands, and we have a military base there. It's the biggest naval base we have in the Pacific, and that naval base is called, or is at, Pearl Harbor. Now, if I could continue this a couple thousand more miles that way, is going to be the U.S. It's going to be like California, Washington, Oregon, etc. So this whole area here is the Pacific Theater. Once Japan starts conquering these areas, and China is in the middle of a civil war, eventually Japan's going to turn their aggression this way. And they realize that we've kind of been doing the same way. We look at Japan and we're telling them to stop being so imperialistic, right? Stop conquering all these places. And they look at us and they say, well, hold on a second. What the hell are you doing in the Philippines? And why are you in Guam and in Midway, which is up here? Why are you in these places? And we're like, well, hey, we're America. It's manifest destiny. And they were like, isn't that like just going out and conquering stuff? We're like, well, shut up. So we threaten Japan and we say, we are no longer going to sell you oil because they are getting all of their oil from the U.S. And to the hardliners in Japan, when they hear that we're not going to sell them oil anymore, what that says to them is, hey, we need to get our own source of oil, and America is no longer a friend or an ally that we can trust. So they decide to launch an attack. They come up here and they launch a surprise attack, and they knock out most of our Navy at Pearl Harbor. Luckily, some of our carriers, aircraft carriers, if you remember in Who Sunk My Battleship, right? An aircraft carrier is, 5 pieces? They're the biggest, right? The most important ships you have. And luckily for us, we had a couple of them, 3 of them, and they were about here, here, and here. And the Japanese didn't see them, so they missed our carriers. And this is what allows us to continue the fight in the Pacific after they knock out most of our Navy. Now, luckily, this is such a massive span. Again, it's thousands of miles. Like, you could fit America here, and you're in the ocean. So what happens is throughout this area, there are hundreds of little tiny islands. And basically, what happens is the Japanese are gobbling up all of these little islands. They would go there, kill whoever was there, or enslave them, or do whatever. But they're taking them over at an incredible rate. And we could, if we wanted to, as we start to fight our way back here, as we rebuild and we join World War II, and we're going to go attack Africa first, actually, to cut off the oil from the Germans in the Atlantic Theater, way over there. But what we choose to do is, instead of going to every single island that the Japanese have already conquered and having an absolutely exhausting, we just say, well, who cares about that one? Who cares about that one? Who cares about that one? This one, okay. Let's get that one. And when we get there, let's not just knock it out. Let's build an air base. And then when our planes are flying, when they're coming across, they can land here. We'll refuel them, and they can take off. And, who cares about that one and that one? And that one. Let's go over to this one. Same thing. Let's take over this. And we ignore most of these islands, realizing the Japanese, their navy is going to be depleted. We're going to keep blowing up their ships, and they're going to run out of this. They're going to run out of steel, right? Steel and oil. The Japanese are going to run out of those resources, and we are going to keep continuously churning these things out back home. So we are building ships at an unbelievable rate. We are building airplanes and tanks and everything, and we're just going to slowly overwhelm them. We're going to push them back, push them back, push them back until their entire navy is at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. All their airplanes are destroyed. All their destroyers are destroyed. All their submarines are destroyed. Everything they have is going to be destroyed eventually. And they're going to take up residence back on their island, and they're going to defend it and defend it and defend it and defend it and defend it until poof. We're going to drop a nuke on Hiroshima. They still don't surrender. I'm going to drop a nuke on Nagasaki, and then they surrender. And then World War II in the Pacific is over.